Good afternoon, everyone. It is December 19th, 2024. It's 3:30 p.m. I am going to call our December meeting to order. Don, could we get a roll call, please?
Mayor Carlson.
Here.
Mayor Dardis.
Here.
Mayor Mahoney.
Here.
Mr. Breitling.
Here.
Mr. Hendrickson.
Here.
Mr. Pepcorn.
Here.
Mr. Ebinger.
Here.
Ms. Kolpak.
Here.
Mr. Campbell. Mr. Capitan. Mr. Grimberg.
Here.
Mr. Steen.
Here.
And Mr. Seldewald.
Here.
Quorum is present.
Thank you. Moving on to the approval of the minutes from November 21st, 2024. Looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? That motion carries. Next is the order of the agenda, although I do believe that we have an amendment to remove for C1. Is that correct? I'm looking maybe to our co-executives or Mr. Balthell.
So yes, just to clarify, this was removed from the agenda from the Finance Committee on yesterday's meeting. We've gotten some additional information as staff, and so we're reevaluating that. And so we're asking that we asked the Finance Committee, and now we're asking the board that you please remove it from this, and we'll bring it back, bring something back to you at a future date.
Okay, thank you. So would be looking for a motion to approve the order of the agenda with the removal of 4C1 or I.
So move. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Right, that motion carries. And moving on to the consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Oh, yes, sorry. Thank you, Mayor Mahoney. Roll call vote on this, please.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Mayor Dardis.
Yes.
Mayor Mahoney.
Aye.
Mr. Breitling.
Yes.
Mr. Hendrickson.
Aye.
Mr. Pepcorn.
Aye.
Mr. Ebinger.
Aye.
Ms. Kolpak.
Aye.
Mr. Campbell. Mr. Grimberg.
Aye.
Mr. Steen.
Yes.
And Mr. Seldewald.
Aye.
And that is everyone.
Thank you. And all of those items have been approved now. Moving on to number 5, our co-executive director report. And the first one, I guess both of them, I will turn over to Mr. Robert Wilson.
Madam Chair, members of the board, thank you very much. The first item for your consideration is proposed policy, awards solicitation policy. And this was reviewed at the Planning Committee meeting on December 3rd. And essentially what we're trying to do is just provide a little bit of awareness for the board. Obviously, we very much appreciate it when the project is recognized nationally and internationally, as it has been on a number of occasions, but with different awards. But this would just simply say that if an application fee was required to submit along with an application for an award, and that fee were in excess of $200, the chair would need to be aware of that and concur with that, just for awareness of the board and understanding of where funds are being spent and resources are being spent, and would also really require that application material be prepared by staff or board members, not by contracted consultants, just to be aware of and be fiscally responsible with the way those types of activities are engaged in. We'd stand by for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Any questions on this agenda item? Seeing none, would be looking for a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
So motion by Seldeveld, second by Ebinger. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying, oh, this is a roll call vote, sorry. Could I get a roll call vote, please?
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Mayor Dardis.
Yes.
Mayor Mahoney.
Aye.
Mr. Breitling.
Yes.
Mr. Hendrickson.
Aye.
Mr. Pepcorn.
Aye.
Mr. Ebinger.
Aye.
Ms. Kolpak.
Aye.
Mr. Grimberg.
Aye.
Mr. Steen,
Yes.
and Mr. Seldwald.
Aye.
That is everyone.
Thank you, and that motion carries. Back to you, Mr. Wilson.
Madam Chair, members of the board, second item, similar, but not exactly a carbon copy here, proposed policy for sponsorship policy, where, you know, there may be occasions where it's appropriate for the authority, the executive director or representatives of the authority to appear at conferences or other types of industry settings in a sponsorship role. And this would just simply say if that was going to happen and there was a fee in excess of $200, that the chair would need to be made aware of that and concur with that prior to expending funds in this role. Not aware that that this has happened in any case in the past, but just as a matter of due diligence and wanting to keep the board informed, this policy was again drafted and reviewed by the Planning Committee and is presented for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Any questions from members of the board?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Mayor Dardis.
Yes.
Mayor Mahoney.
Aye.
Mr. Breitling.
Yes.
Mr. Hendrickson.
Aye.
Mr. Pepcorn.
Aye.
Mr. Ebinger.
Aye.
Ms. Colpack.
Aye.
Mr. Grimberg.
Aye.
Mr. Steen,
Yes.
and Mr. Seldwald.
Aye.
That is everyone.
Thank you, and that motion carries. Moving on to general counsel update. Is Mr. Shockley on? All right, and there is no update I see from our general counsel, so we will move on to project updates. And the first would be from Terry Williams.
Good afternoon, Chair Carlson and board members. I'm happy to present the Corps' update for the month of December. With all of the earthwork operations basically shut down for winter, there's not as much to report on this month. I'm going to jump down to the Red River structure. They will be working on assembling Gate 3 throughout the winter. They have an enclosure in that gate bay so that they can continue assembling that gate. I'll jump down to number 8, all of the 24 contract awards that we had. You can see what our percent completes were going into winter. Really great progress made on REACH SE2B and SE1B. I'll point those out. I think the big news is on to our FY25 contract awards. For SE3, we did hold a bid opening on the 26th of November. And I've included the results of that bid opening on page 2 of the handout. HSG Park was the apparent low, and they have also done work on SE1B and Drayton Dam for the Corps on this project. If you go to page 2, you can see the results. You can see what the government estimate was and what the other 5 bidders bid. So we're on track to keep that award in January. SE5 bid opening, we actually had that yesterday. The results, we're still kind of going through those. We had 4 bidders, and I'll make sure that the results are included on next month's monthly update. For the forest mitigation contract, we did put that out on the street yesterday for bids, and proposals are due for that work on 22 January, and this will be to plant about 100 acres of trees to mitigate floodplain forest impacts by the project. With that, that ends my update, unless there's any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Any questions from the board? Commissioner Pepcorn.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So my question is about the bids. Obviously, the government estimate was 27, and then the apparent low bid is 18. So do you have any explanation as to, obviously, those are great numbers, but is there an explanation behind those?
So So we typically have been seeing bids that have come in on our reaches this year that have been below the government estimate. And we're, obviously comforted that the apparent low bidder is a company that's already been doing work on this project. Over.
That's great. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Ms. Williams. Any other questions from board members? Seeing none, we will move on to the next agenda item. I'll turn that over to Mr. Chris Bachegard.
Thanks, Chair Carlson, board members. Quick construction update. Like Terry, things are slowing down slightly as we head into the winter months here, but we do have a few milestones to note. Looking out, we did have the County Road 32 crossing in the 30 to 60 day outlook. Actually, with the weather the last couple of weeks, they were able to get that road open, so we do have one more roadway open for the winter. Still some work that likely will need to be done next spring, but we do have now 2 roadways, bridges open across the channel. The 431 bridge, which we announced last month, and then now the County Road 32 structure. As we look in channels, you'll notice on the map on channel reaches 1 and 2, we've now opened those as functional. With the opening of 431 last month, they were able to continue processing of opening the channel. There's still some work left there. They are removing the existing County Road 4, which created a plug across the channel, and are working now to connect Drain 30, which we anticipate will be open and functioning into the diversion channel before next spring. On the BNSF Prosper side, we are expecting girders to be set here in early January. So again, continue to make progress on our railroad bridge structures. We did have the first concrete pour on the Cheyenne Aqueduct foundation this past month, so that was good progress there as well. And then just a traffic note on SE2B, the Corps contractor did open the roadway to County Road 16 to traffic, is opened as gravel and will be paved next year. So just for awareness, we do have our roads open and functioning as much as possible here for the winter months. With that, I stand for any questions on the construction update.
Thank you, Mr. Bachegard. Any questions from the board? Looks like there's no questions. You move on to the next agenda item.
Sounds great. The next one, just to highlight, this will be coming out in some of our upcoming publications. Wanted to highlight to you guys, put together a few numbers to just kind of track what all was accomplished this last year. I won't go through all of these. You can certainly look at those, and I can help answer questions if you have them, but maybe just a couple of notes. If you look at the 316,000 hours that were put on machinery this year, if you kind of boil that down into individual hours, if you had one person working, they'd be working 24/7 for 36 years to accomplish that many hours. So a good note that many hands make light work and accomplish a lot of work. So a lot of hours were put on. One other note, you look at maybe another little bit odd quantity to talk about, but you look at collecting 80 terabytes of data collected for the drone survey. If you kind of put that into music perspective, you could have a playlist to play nonstop for over 150 years with that much data. So collecting mounds of data related to our project, as you probably expect, and providing then all the information we need to complete our project and have all the right documentation in place. So if you have any other questions on the quantities, I'd happy to share, but just wanted to highlight this. Will be coming out in some of our upcoming correspondence, just kind of our year in review as well. So.
Thank you, Mr. Bachegard. Any questions on this agenda item from board members? No questions. So moving on to the next one.
Yeah, and on the safety update, Mayor Mahoney asked me a little bit about this last month. We did have a couple of more serious incidences this past in the month of November. We did have an employee of ASN electrocuted on the project by cutting into a line that was thought to be de-energized, and it wasn't, and was injured quite severely. Far as we know, he's continuing to be treated. We don't have a lot of information. The incident is being investigated by OSHA, and we'll certainly share results of that as we learn more. But please keep that employee in your prayers. He's being treated as I said, and we're all hoping for the best. And then one other, there was also an employee that had a drill bit catch his glove and did some pretty severe damage to one of his fingers and had to be partially amputated. So a couple of more serious incidents this month. Other than that, happy to stand for any other questions you have related to our safety report.
Thank you, Mr. Balkegard. Any questions from the board? No questions, but definitely our thoughts and prayers are with both of those individuals as they recover from their injuries.
Thank you, Chair Carlson.
All right, moving on to the next agenda item. This would be an update from Mr. Paul Barthel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Board members, just give you a quick update, overview. Chris has updated the construction side, but I wanted to highlight a little bit on our commercial matters that way. We have a dedicated team that is working directly with the ASN RRVA commercial team and trying to make sure that everything gets paid and any changes are fully documented. So one of the first things, Peggy, if you could go to the next page, we're aware of the disputes that are ongoing with commercial items. Within the document, within the project agreement, there's methodology for changes. So either the authority or the developer can bring changes forward. There have been 23 authority-initiated change requests or ACRs. 12 have been agreed to, and of those, one is with a credit of almost $1 million, so $950,000, and then at additional costs of about $8.4 million. The developer has submitted 55 of change requests, and of those, 34 have been agreed to. And so again, totaling about $3.7 million of cost to the authority. As we still see on the next page, that there's several other invoicing. One of the things that we've been doing is passing through the BNSF invoices. So as BNSF provides labor to do the shoe flies, the railroad bypasses, as they have provided flaggers for the work, railroad flaggers for their equipment and their trains that go through there. They are, as part of our construction and maintenance agreement, they are reimbursed by the authority and actually then reimbursed by the developer for the authority. And so there's 66 of those invoices that have been paid. And so to date, the developer has been paid, and through the DRB members, our share of that, a little over $5.1 million. And then if we scroll down, you're going to see some of these. We've had several discussions on the Finance Committee of the shoe fly pay units and crossings, and what we do anticipate them coming in January, getting those finalized for payment. But there you can see the list of the various pay units that we anticipate paying out. So a little over $235 million next year, if we can stay on schedule. So that's what's scheduled for this year. But yeah, a lot of discussions, coordination, and commercial issues are being resolved behind the scenes. So just wanted to make the board aware of that. So are there any other questions? Again, this is just a highlight. There's about 15 pages of information on the P3 that's included in your packet. So any questions that way on what's been presented or elsewhere in the packet?
Thank you, Paul. Any questions from the board? No questions. So the next agenda item is the 2024 year in review project video. And I don't know, Ms. Wilson, if you wanted to introduce that or combine it with your communications team update. I'll leave it up to you.
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank everybody who has had a role in making that happen. I know y'all took time out of your schedules to head down south to the job trailer to shoot. And I will warn you, this is longer than probably any other video we've released because it was very challenging to get everything accomplished this year boiled down into a video. It's been an incredible year, as you all know, and hopefully this captures it well.
Hi, I'm Shelley Carlson, the Mayor of Moorhead and 2024 Chair of the Metro Flood Diversion Authority Board. I had the honor and privilege of serving in this role 3 years ago when we were awarded the remaining federal dollars that were needed to complete the project. With that part done, construction started moving forward. This past year, more visible progress on the FM area diversion was made than ever before. Some of our many partners took an opportunity to look back at some of the highlights from the year. Let's hear what Chris Bakigard, the Metro Flood Diversion Authority Director of Engineering, and Major Kyle Volk, Resident Engineer with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, have to say about the progress.
Good to see you again, Major Volk, and congratulations on your recent promotion.
Thanks, Chris.
As we're wrapping up our big construction year of 2024, noticing that there's been great progress on the diversion inlet structure, wild rice structure, looks like they're nearing completion. Also, lots of progress on the Red River structure. Could you give us a quick recap of how construction's gone on those three big structures this past year?
Yep, the diversion inlet and the water ice are nearly complete. We'll be wrapping those up in the spring. The Red River structure, we just hit 70% complete. We've already placed 42,000 cubic yards of concrete, which is more concrete than the other two structures combined.
We also have a lot of work going on the 22-mile southern embankment this past year as well. Can you give a few highlights of how that work's been ongoing?
We have 5 active contracts out for the southern embankment. We broke it up into multiple different sections. We've placed this year 850,000 cubic yards of embankment. The contractor, it's a little tedious for embankments as each layer is compacted and moisture control is monitored so we can ensure that we have a quality product.
That's great. So as we look forward into 2025, can you give us a quick highlight of what's coming next with the core program?
Within our program here, we have 2 more embankment projects that are out for bid right now. So SE3, Southern Embankment 3, and Southern Embankment 5. Red River structure, we should be diverting the Red River through the structure come July, August timeframe. We'll also be placing bridge decks, more concrete. We have 16 miles of pile driven out of the 21, so the last portion of piles will be driven into the ground under the Red River structure. We'll also be tying all the embankments together. We do leave sections apart, so each project is its own individual project, so we're pulling those plugs and tying everything together too.
Well, sounds great. Thanks for giving us the update on the progress on the program, and looking forward to accomplishments coming up here in 2025.
Thank you, Chris.
In addition to the great work done by the Corps and its contractors, our P3 developer, the Red River Valley Alliance, also has been busy building their portions. ASN Constructors, which is RRVA's construction arm, worked on more than 24 components of the diversion this year. Let's hear what Tom Fuchs, the MFDA Senior Construction Manager, and Katrina Nyborg, the Channel Manager for ASN, have to say about this year's work.
Thanks for joining me today, Katrina.
Yeah, it's good to see you, Tom.
Tell us a little bit. 2024 was a big year, obviously. We saw all 19 channel crossings under construction at different stages. Tell us a little bit about how ASN Constructors was up to that task, and how that was managed.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, 2024 was a great year for the project. We're currently working the entire 30 miles all the way from Reach 1 to Reach 14, doing channel construction, bridge construction, roads, aqueducts, utilities, all that work all together. So we've got multiple crews, subcontractors, everybody working together to get the project done.
Great. In 2024, it was amazing to see the amount of work that was completed at the Maple River Aqueduct in particular. We also now see the Cheyenne River Aqueduct work starting up. Tell us a little bit about just the dynamics of completing the work alongside the river, but also shifting the river and everything that has to go to make that come together.
The aqueducts are some of the coolest part of this project. The Maple is well underway with lots of concrete work being done this summer and moving on to the next phases of the project. Cheyenne just getting started with the piling and getting started on some concrete work. As we get more into 2025, we'll finish the aqueducts, and then, like you said, we'll have to plug the existing river, divert it into the aqueduct, and then go on with the challenge of having to dig the channel through the old river. 2025, we want to continue the momentum of 2024. We'll be working all winter with our earthworks crews, working 24/7 with 3 crews to maintain our production numbers, targeting about 1.5 million cubic yards per month. The structures depend a lot on the weather, but we're planning to keep going with as much as we can, and then hitting full steam again with them in the spring and summer of 2025 to be able to finish all of our crossings by fall and late 2025, the Maple Aqueduct at the same time, and then move on to finish the Cheyenne in late 2025, early 2026.
Great. Well, thanks again for joining me, and we look forward to the progress in 2025.
So are we.
There's a lot more work happening on the diversion beyond the major construction. Our land management team has worked to acquire properties and develop mitigation programs. Jody Smith, the MFDA Director of Lands and Compliance, and Madeline Doubt, the MFDA's land specialist, are here to tell us more.
Good morning, Jody.
Good morning, Madeline.
We have had such a busy 2024 in land management. Can you give us a little bit of glimpse of what we've been doing the last year?
You know, we've been really busy acquiring all the necessary property rights to operate the project. So this year alone, we'll close on almost 120 parcels, which takes a significant amount of work, both from our lands team and our legal team, but also from the property owners. They need to be willing to come and sit at the table and have some difficult conversations with us. So I do want to, applaud all of them who are willing to sit down and continue to keep open communications with our lands team.
So I know that in a lot of our meetings, there's been a lot of discussion about trees. Can you tell us a little bit about the projects going around with the trees?
So we have a team that goes in and has to cut down trees. So if they're in the construction footprint, then we do have to take those trees out. We're also busy then working to plant trees for every tree that we have to cut down, we have to go back in and plant trees. And so this past year alone, we've been working to either plant or get the sites ready to plant in 2025 on over 300 acres.
Looking into 2025, what do you see on the docket for us? I know we've already have discussed it. It's going to be another busy year. What do you foresee?
We'll have continued property mitigation, and I know that you kind of lead the effort on that. And so I think we have over 25 properties that we'll need to remediate in 2025. Again, hopefully we'll be planting another 100 acres of forest site, and then we'll continue to have our conversations with property owners.
Amazing news. Well, 2025 is going to be another busy one for us on the land management team, but I'm looking forward to it.
I am as well. Thanks, Madeline.
It's been great watching this year's progress. Mayor Carlson provided capable leadership this year, and our engineers, designers, environmental experts, laborers, heavy equipment operators, and many more have made all the progress we've just seen. I'm looking forward to leading the MFDA board in 2025, when we'll be focused on pushing some of the components to the finish line, securing the last bit of funding that we need, and preparing for operations and maintenance on the completed components. Thanks to our many partners for all they've accomplished, and thanks to our communities for making this work toward permanent, reliable flood protection possible.
Nice job.
Yes, and I also saw that Mayor Mahoney and Mayor Dardis were able to get their pictures in side profile in one of the areas. So I'm not sure if
I
they
apologize
knew.
for that.
Oh, yes. So thanks again for everybody who took part. I know nobody really loves to be on that side of the camera, but I'm glad everybody was willing to help share some of what was accomplished this year. In terms of our outreach, we are continuing to publish the construction updates and getting coverage of that. And of course, you just saw the year in review video and infographic. I should add too, there's no drone video today. We're saving that up for January 9th, so you're not watching movies all day. Event facilitation, that's starting to really taper down, especially with the holidays coming. But Mr. Redlinger presented about the project to the Rotary Club recently. Looking back at our social media, this is all organic growth through this past year. The numbers aren't incredibly, they're not great, but it is all organic. So that's something to keep in mind. We don't use any type of paid advertising. We did, however, manage to gain nearly 800 new followers that are getting our information. And LinkedIn continues to be the most popular channel, followed by YouTube. And our drone videos are by far the most popular on YouTube. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Any questions from any of the board members? No questions, so thank you. Thank you for coordinating all of that and keeping track of this for historical purposes. I will turn our land management update over to Mr. Eric Dodds.
Good afternoon, board members. Happy holidays. In your packet and on the screen, you see the monthly status report. Just as a brief reminder, green is good. Green means we've acquired everything that we need for the project. You can see lots of green there in the upstream area. The orangish red colors means we are in eminent domain, and so unfortunately we're in that position with a number of parcels as well in the eminent domain or in the upstream area. The next slide shows overall pie charts, construction footprint approaching 99%. So made some progress last month with some parcels along the southern embankment. On the upstream mitigation area, 57.5% complete. Again, we're continuing to make progress every month in that area. The next page drills in just a little bit more detail. You can see those numbers for yourself. I guess I'd move on to the next page, which shows lots of numbers. This looks at different owner groups as compared to parcels. You can also see the number of litigation actions that are currently ongoing for both the construction footprint and the upstream mitigation area. A few key activities noted on the next page. We are continuing, Jody and legal teams are continuing to try to reach mediated settlements with landowners when they're willing. There was a little bit of a break in that pattern here in December, but they're hoping to get back into the mediation ring in January and February moving forward. We did close on 21 parcels last month, so a good month, made good progress that way. Most all of those were in the UMA, a handful along the southern embankment. We are currently working on appraisal reports for flowage easements around Christine, as well as the Cheyenne River benching project. We had a number of those approved this morning at the Cass County Joint Meeting. The board has approved a number of excess lands, and we have 39 of those parcels, almost 700 acres, that are moving through the process of divesting of those lands. Madeline and team are working hard on farmland leases. I think we had probably 20 different farmland leases that were approved today at the two different board meetings. And so getting ready for 2025 farm season. And then the last note there is really about occupied structures in Minnesota. We have some vacate dates, and this all relates back to making sure we get those structures cleared in time for operation of the project. We noted at both the joint board and MCC-JPA meetings that there are additional contractors being presented to you today for consideration to help with the removal of those structures. So the last slide in here just talks a little bit of a few updates about our land agents. We've had a group of professional land agents out meeting with landowners for a number of years. Currently, they're helping with relocation advisory services, making sure people are getting moved and eligible for the relocation benefits, as well as helping legal team with any mediated type settlements that come forward. With that, stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Dodds. Any questions from any of the board members? Somebody's calling Mayor Mahoney because apparently somebody he knows has a question. We'll maybe wait to see who.
Yeah.
No. Any questions? See none. Thank you, Mr. Dodds. Moving on to the finance update, I'll turn it over to Mayor Darvis.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Finance Committee met yesterday. There were $7,060,887 worth of bills presented in this last reporting period. We have a net position of cash at $283,095,804. And let's see, we received the third draft of the 2025 cash budget with some amendments to it. At the present time, which is not under consideration for our December meeting, the cash budget for 2025 is now projected to be at $421,172,000 and $172,019. Peggy, is it possible that you could pull up page 59 of the meetings that we had yesterday? This is the overall status level 1 summary. If that's not possible, just for the information through the board, the lands and impacted property mitigation for 2024, we are slightly over budget to the tune of $648,651. But as Paul has reminded us, it's less than 1% of the overall. So that being said, there are revenues in other areas that will be able to cover this overage. There's also another item, and it's called the debt transfer total, which is reporting on what we pay for interest. We've been paying about $864,000 on interest, and that has been because our interest rates are so unbelievably low on the initial monies that we received. Some of the new money that we're using now has a higher interest rate. So we're at fiscal year 2024. It's up from $864,000 is budgeted to $3,757,000. So just so everybody understands that the money that we're using now has a higher interest rate, and so obviously it reflects in the reporting of our finances. I'd stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mayor Diversion. Thank you, Peggy, for finding that page for all of us.
Yeah.
Any questions?
The debt transfers total is on the very bottom line there. It shows the $2,893,000, and the other one is on line 5, one of the white lines. It says lands right there. There it is. Thank you.
Again, any questions? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to other business, and I will turn this item over to Mr. Paul Barthel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the board, before you is a summary of the various contractors that and consultants that are currently working on the program. These do include some that work for the Cass County Joint Water Resource District and the MCC JPA, helping provide services for land acquisition. This spreadsheet and this report is outcome of the Planning Committee and discussions that were held at the Planning Committee regarding current practice and what actually was presented as for increases to the consultants and contractors working on the project. So a history of that. As part, if you'll notice under the contract type, there's the majority are under an MSA, a Master Services Agreement. And under that scenario, the Master Services Agreement itself lays out how additional revenues or how the increases to their rates are managed. The majority of those are by approval by the executive director, but then the executive director also has the ability to examine the finances of these companies to ensure that the proper amount of profit and gross margin is being utilized by the company. So there are a few that are actually capped at 3% in their MSA. But then, like I said, then there's others that have a little bit more discretion by the executive director. Then you'll also see within there's some percentages. Those are the annual percentages that were given across the board to all of the rates within that company's underneath their contracts or task orders. You'll also see in there kind of the rate sheet notation. That is basically, most companies have 10 to 20 different employee classifications that work for them, and that is presented on a rate sheet. Those rate sheets were then approved without a consistent rate increase across those. So some employees got, say, a 5% increase, and others got a 1 or 2% increase, and it kind of balanced out that way. So the rate sheet itself was approved by the executive director. Then there's also a number that are not applicable, the NAs, because we haven't had contracts back with them for several years. And then others, especially some of the consultants that work for the Cass County Joint, we didn't have the data back that far. And so some of them, the NAs are not available. So this provides a summary of what has been provided to the contractors, consultants, and leave it up to the board if they have any questions or if they want to discuss this any further.
Thank you, Mr. Barthel. Any questions related to this agenda item? Mayor Mahoney.
I was under the impression in the planning commission that we were going to not have any rate increases until 25 till our new executive director was here, or am I misunderstood that?
There have been some requests for additional work that way. I'm going to ask Michael or Robert on the status of those. So as acting or as co-executive directors, they have the authority to approve those.
Madam Chair, members of the board, good afternoon. So on the question of 2025 rate adjustments, we're just about 45 days away from the permanent director arriving to the project, and we would like to defer those activities until such time as we get a chance to consult with him. I would note at our finance committee meeting yesterday too, we had a question just about MSAs and adjustments where we had expirations that were occurring in 2024 where we had continued work that was going to take us into 2025. We have authorized those. Those are approved on your agenda today. But on this rate conversation, as you can see, and appreciate the PMC summarizing all of this information, we really have a variety of authorities as well as different ways in which this has been approved in the past. So I think I would just recommend we pause in this for some time until we get the director here, talk to him about this, and then let him kind of form some conversation with the various contractors here. Some of these, as Paul noted, are established, are outlined, and then others are much, much more open to the director's authority. And the previous director, as you can see, had been doing some adjustments that were in his best judgment at the time. So.
Any additional questions? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So everyone, as we near the close of 2024, I do have a few comments that I want to make before we adjourn. First, at the beginning of this meeting, I neglected to welcome two new board members, Commissioner Dwayne Breitling and Commissioner Jim Capitan, who isn't here today, but welcome to the Board of Directors, Mr. Breitling. Also, this is Councilmember Seljeveld's last board meeting with us, so wanted to thank him for his years of service and dedication to the project. It is each one of these individual, Mr. Seljeveld, and then some of the former board members, specifically Chad Peterson and Mary Shirley, who were board chairs at one point in time, really provided unwavering commitment and vision with a spirit of collaboration. So thank you all for that. To this entire board, I want to take a moment to express my deepest gratitude for each of you. This year brought its share of challenges, but it also highlighted the strength of our board and our collective ability to rise to the occasion. And through it all, I really truly believe we demonstrated remarkable resiliency, creativity, and dedication. There were moments of uncertainty when the weight of our collective responsibilities felt very heavy. Yet, despite these challenges, we came together, leveraging our diverse skills and perspectives to find solutions and keep moving forward. Every decision, every discussion, and every action we took was a testament to the strength of our collaboration. I'm continuously inspired by the way this board, Diversion staff, and the myriad of consultants who work on the project, how we all approach it with the sense of shared purpose, mutual respect, and commitment to our vision of permanent, reliable flood protection. So thank you all. Lastly, I want to specifically acknowledge our co-executive directors, Michael Redlinger and Robert Wilson. Working with such talented and driven individuals has been incredibly rewarding, and I'm genuinely grateful to each of you, and I've learned a lot from each of you. Your unwavering commitment to the success of this project has not gone unnoticed, and we are all extremely grateful to the both of you. So as this board moves forward into the next year, I'm confident our unity and commitment will continue to propel this project forward. I feel privileged to be part of this board, honored to have completed a second term as its chair, and very much looking forward to handing the baton over to Commissioner Tony Grinberg at 12 a.m. on January 1st, 2025. In closing, a quote from American anthropologist Margaret Mead. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. So with that, our next meeting will be January 23rd. So happy.
Let us clap.
So, Mr. Barthel.
The next standing board meeting is the 23rd. However, we do have an annual meeting on January 9th. This is going to be, per the JPA, there is a requirement to hold an annual meeting on the second Thursday of January. And this is basically going to be an administrative type meeting to officially set the calendar for 2025, and then also to set the committees for 2025, and watch the construction video that Amy teased us with earlier. So,
Thank you for clarifying that. So with that, we are adjourned. Happy holidays and Happy New Year, everyone. See you
Madam
20
Chairman,
Yes.
you're very kind in your comments to all of us and to the staff. We want you to know how much we appreciate your leadership during this last year. Well done.
Thank you, Mayor Doris.